Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Bam, and this is the makeup video for missing Zoom 1. If you missed Zoom 1, so you're going to start with watching this video, then you're going to create a PowerPoint. There are additional materials I'm going to show you, and you have access to that PDF as well. It's the PDF that was shown in class that night. But I'm not going to go over all the content that we discussed, but I'm going to kind of breeze through some of it. So you may want to go take a deeper look to it yourself. So I wanted to make sure I show you where it is. The first thing we're going to do is just going over the class and where everything is, making sure you see the Zoom dates, which is the past one, the 17th, the February 7th, March 20th, and April 10th from 4:30 to 6. As we discussed in class, if you miss the Zoom, you will miss the points. That's with the exception of this one, since it wasn't really an option. I know some people got in last minute, and so I'm making an exception for this Zoom. But in the future, there will be few exceptions that will allow a made-up activity for a Zoom. It would have to be some type of crisis or an accommodation. So the first place I want to make sure that you've reviewed is the syllabus. That is, we're not going to go all over all the pieces, but there are important pieces in there to go over, making sure that you understand this is for your certification program, that the grade matters within the program. It aligns with the SLOs, with the description and the outcomes and the standards and the connection to those standards. The course material is needed. The textbook is required for this course. While it says no supplies, we do use some basic art supplies, but I will try to give heads up on those, and if you don't have them, it's okay. We'll figure out alternatives. One of the big pieces that we went over for textbooks is that second line, which it says all students pursuing a degree program will have to purchase TK20 account. This is just letting you know that in the program you'll have to do it. This class does not require the purchase of the TK20. There's no hours connected to it. So TK20 isn't required for there. But just knowing in general that at some point in time, you will probably need to purchase that TK20 account if you haven't already. It is a one-time purchase for all the classes that are included in. But since this class is part of that certification program, that's why it's listed here, just reminding you that that is a requirement. Then it goes through the different activities and things. Some of them we've already done, like the introductions and all of that, and how they're connected. This is a points-based class, so not a percentage-based class, so things aren't weighted. It's all point-based. Your goal is to get to 1,000 points, and your grades are listed down below where you earn. Since I round, that's why it says 895, because an 89.5 would round for me to a 90. So 895 to 1,000 earns that A. So I'm very strict since the 5 points are already built in for rounding there, and 894 does not round up to an A. That is already including the rounding. Then we see that the class calendar and how things work. So we do meet those 4 times. They're listed on the calendar. We break things into units. I try to get things open at least 1 week, if not more than 1 week ahead, so that you guys have access to it and can have discussion in it. But I don't want to get people too far ahead so that they're not on the content that they need to be at when we have class. The following are the typical statements that are in your syllabus. Always good to know and review. And of course, let me know if you have any questions in regards to that. Okay. The syllabus addendum has all the information for the EPP that you're part of to earn that certification, or if you are part of one of the EPP programs. I'm not positive. Somebody else might take the class as well. But if you're part of an EPP program, it's all the information, the classes that are within the program, the curriculum, the supplies, all the pieces that go with that. testing and exit policy. So if you're looking for your EPP information, it is found there in that addendum. So your main place that you're going to want to go in the class is the announcement tab, your grade tab, and your modules tab. Of course, Zoom for class. Other than that, I've left a few things open, but not for the most part. You're going to usually want to go directly to your modules as support to look at the unit, the work for that unit. And then that's where you'll find all the things. But you all have been working through the various pieces the last couple units, so I'm sure you have become familiar with that. Okay, the next piece, sorry, that is not what I wanted to show you, is this. And so this is found here, if you go back to the course, and you go down to Zoom 1 links, not participation, but Zoom 1 links. There is a PDF here, and then the Jamboard links if you want to go look at kind of what other people, what we did in the groups and how they form things out when you're thinking about what you're going to put on your PowerPoint. But this is the PDF that we went through. So like I said, I'm not going to go over all the pieces, but I want to highlight some of the things. You're going to be doing the drawing activity. We are going to be bringing the drawing activities back to the next Zoom to do non-judgmental comments on them. So make sure you have that. You're also going to be submitting an image of it to me when you see the directions below, or the directions that were also sent with this video link. So we went over 2 purposes of creativity, how and what of the creative arts. So what are they actually, and how we use creative arts in academic content. So that was our 2 main focuses. You're going to be doing a lot of these questions on the PowerPoint that you're creating. There is some great information here about what children learn through creative activities. I'm asking you, what benefits have you had through having creative opportunities? But these are great ideas to like kind of incorporate into that concept of, did it provide you motivation or decision making, or how does it help you in the different pieces? We did talk about how do we use creativity as adults as well within that piece. You're going to define creativity. I did give 2 definitions here, so your definition should be different than these definitions because that would be plagiarism otherwise. But think about, how do you define creativity, and what would you put in that definition? I do summarize that most include the ideas of originality, usefulness, and the idea that what is creative is socially constructed, and the idea that goes to, you could have the best invention in the world, but if the society doesn't agree that it's a great invention, then it doesn't go anywhere. It dies, it fades out, right? So what we see as creative or very creative or not as creative is often determined by the priorities of the society, that whole social construction. So we talked about that a bit. Dimensions of creativity is a great one that we're going to go back to. So it's one to highlight or remember, but this is what does creativity foster in the different domains? So we look at cognitive and affective there. And then this is where we're going to pick up more in our non-judgmental comments, is how do we bring up oh, not this piece, I'm sorry. This piece, recognizing children's creativity, that's where do we recognize, how do we know children are being creative? When are they in a creative mode, right? Are they curious when they ask questions? What are their perceptions? Are they resourceful? Are they non-conforming? Do they think that there's doubt? We also debated these 2. Is there a decline in creativity? And is creativity different in children and adults? And we asked, how are they similar? How are they different? And just in general, did people think that there was a decline in creativity? I think overall we decided that maybe creativity was coming out in different ways. So even though, for example, that the child might be on Minecraft all day, but they can demonstrate a creative way that they developed a world or do all the pieces there. So it may not look like the creativity of the past. We did talk divergent thinking, really the idea of divergent creativity leading to divergent thinking, so that there shouldn't be one right way of doing an art project, or one right end product to an art project. And that led us into process versus product. So this we are going to talk about over, sorry if you hear my birds, they're being very loud. We hear process versus product over and over again throughout this course. So we're going to be bringing up this concept when we talk product art. So the art on the left there with the turkey is product art. The goldfish is product art. Okay. Product art is where everything that ends up being created looks very similar, right? So for the turkeys, we probably painted all the children's hands. We put probably the paint in the same order. For the feathers, we stamped their hand on the paper, and then it even looks like maybe the teacher drew the mouth and the legs, possibly the child, because they're a little bit too precise, right? The child may have put the googly eye on, may have not. This is product art. This was the art done with the purpose of creating this, which is very cute, but not very creative. Okay. We wouldn't say this has a lot of creativity because it was not child driven. It was very teacher directed. Same with the goldfish. I'm not positive if the child was able to cut out the mouth or not. They cut out the mouth and moved it to the tail, right? Perhaps they were, perhaps that was done for them. So we're not even sure there, but really the only difference might be the size of the mouth. And that's if the children were actually allowed. Maybe they just painted the plate with their hands, right? Which maybe gave them a little process that they got to paint the paint. But did they cover the paint after the child did the painting? Like what if a child only did a single line on the paper? Did they still cover it so it looked like a goldfish, right? So this is probably still very much a teacher directed with minimal input or direction from the child into the art. Now on the right, we see a process art. So beautiful picture. That's Mackenzie, Dr. Kwong's little girl. She's drawing some great art. I think I see a sun there, but it could be a spider, right? We're not sure. It's very much Mackenzie driven there. It may only be that pretty different colors for a little bit longer. She may end up coloring them all and blending them together into a big gray blob. But it's very child driven art. Okay, it was more about the experience of painting than what it looked like at the end of it. And so that's where we talk about we need to make sure that we're not only providing the product art, that we're giving the opportunities for process art. And unfortunately, a lot of times in the younger classrooms, we'll see a lot of the product art. So we really, in process art, it shouldn't necessarily matter what the end product looks like. So it's about the experience and having the opportunity to create what they are creating. So this is an example of this was a product art, right? The ladybug, they probably cut out the dots. They may have even told the kids, they may have put the dots of glue on the paper plate. Maybe the kids colored that plate. I'm not positive because that's pretty solid, like coloring it looks like, or painting. There's lines you can see in it. And then they assembled the ladybug, right, with support. But all those ladybugs were probably going to look the same. And it would be very different than if we showed the kids, hey, did you know there's a lot of types of ladybugs, right? There's all a variety of ladybugs. Let's look at the picture of ladybugs. And I honestly have not seen some of these little ladybug beetle things. So we could show them all their ladybugs and then let them create or design their own ladybug, and maybe they copy and try to recreate one of these actual physical ladybugs. Maybe they develop a new ladybug that doesn't look like any ladybug on this paper, right? But the whole thing is, are they understanding that ladybugs have this number of legs and these number of antennas, and that they all have spots of some sort, right? Or geometric, not necessarily circle spots, but spots of something. And all of those pieces. So like, are they getting the understanding of what a ladybug includes, including like that they have the wings that open up, right? Which, by the way, that circle one, we go back up here, it looks like one big back, especially with that dot in the middle, that their wings would not open up. So it might not be that accurate. Okay, that ends. We're going to do non-judgmental comments in the next class. So that's the ends where we got to for this class. So I encourage you to look at that ahead, because that is part of your Flipgrid requirement, is to give those non-judgmental comments. Now go back to the assignment sent out and you can complete your work to submit it. Have a great one.